just how much should age affect a quarterback's dynasty value? We're talking about that in today's video. As always, give us a like and subscribe. We put out dynasty and redraft content all year long. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a couple months now. Age and dynasty value and how much it should affect value, specifically in quarterbacks. I think there's at times in dynasty football, when we think dynasty fantasy football, we think, oh, we want young players, build for the future, think about the future 5-7 years in the future. And I think it's a big mistake a lot of, especially new dynasty players make. If you are a new dynasty player, then this is a good video for you. But yes, of course, young studs is the most ideal thing that we want in fantasy football. But there's times when we look at someone's age and we decrease their value because of it. And I'm here to tell you, specifically at quarterbacks, we shouldn't be doing that. We really, really shouldn't be doing that. And one of the reasons why is just how much the NFL changes. How much the NFL changes from a week-to-week basis, really, but from year to year. And really, when we're talking about dynasty, we don't want to look more than just 2 or 3 years into the future. I cannot tell you what the NFL is going to look like in 2026, and no one can. So much could change with injuries or players falling off and all this new stuff, new players coming in. So I wanted to look at specifically quarterbacks and their age and their fantasy finishes. So what I did is I went back to 2010. So from 2010 to 2013, that's 14 seasons. I looked at all the top 12 quarterbacks. That's 168 quarterbacks over the last 13 years that have finished top 12. And I broke them down by age, essentially. I divided top 12 and top 5. So I wanted to look at, QB1s. How old are the quarterbacks finishing QB1 each year? And how old are the quarterbacks finishing in the top 5? Because to me, those are the truly elite difference maker guys. And I think the numbers may surprise you just a little bit. I'm going to pull up this graph here, or this pie chart that I have here for you real quick. The first one here, this is top 12. Okay, this is quarterbacks finishing in the top 12. And we look at ages 21 to 28. 21 is the youngest, by the way, quarterback to finish in the top 12, CJ Stroud. 56.5% of the quarterbacks finishing in the top 12 since 2010 are between the ages of 21 and 28. So majority, and I think that's to be expected, right? It's a young man's sport, football is, and generally the older you get, the less opportunity you get due to injuries, due to teams not giving you the opportunity, whatever it is. But not as much as I think. As you can see here, quarterbacks age 29 or older make up 43.5% of the top 12 finishes since 2010 for quarterbacks. That's in total points. I think if you ask the general person without really knowing the specific numbers, most people would probably say, I think at least 60%, maybe closer to 65 or 70% of the quarterbacks are 21 to 28 years old. That's just my personal opinions about what people say. And that's not the case here. We're talking about over 43% of the quarterbacks are age 29 or older. I know, we've had some Hall of Fame like quarterbacks over the last decade or so, and Brady and Breeze and, Rodgers and Rivers and, these kind of players. And, but it just goes to show you, if a quarterback is good, they're going to play well into their 30s. And just so you know, it's not that like 29 makes up 50% of this. For example, there's 10 quarterbacks age 33 that have finished in the top 12 in fantasy football since 2010. There's 8 in the 34 years old, 7 at 35 years old. So we see, 25 quarterbacks since 2010 have finished in the top 12 of age 33 to 35. So if you're a good quarterback, you're going to be playing, most likely, unless you get a devastating injury, you're most likely going to be playing well into your 30s. Now, if we look at the top 5, specifically the top 5, which is, kind of the elite true difference-making seasons here, as I learn how to share a screen here, the number drops just a little bit, but again, not as much as you would think. Quarterbacks 21 through 28 make up 60% of the top 5 finishes since 2010, and 40% are 29 or older. And once again, it's not just all. Actually, there's only one quarterback that was age 29 that finished in the top 5. All of them basically are 30 or more. 30 or older. So again, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Of course, we want the young stud. CJ Stroud being 22 years old or 23 years old, whatever he is. I think he's 22. CJ Stroud being 22 and potentially going to be a top 5 quarterback for the next decade. There's a lot of value there, of course. But when you look at the rankings and community sites and you go to quarterback rankings, I think you see age really kind of play into the rankings a little bit more than it should with quarterbacks. With running backs, it's different. Even with wide receivers, it's different. But with quarterbacks, as we see here, there's plenty of quarterbacks 29, 30 years old or older that are putting up top tier seasons. So I look at guys, I'm just looking at the Heap Trade Cut, which is a community-based ranking system for Dynasty. And you see guys like Dak Prescott, who's going to be essentially 31 this coming season, behind guys like Brock Purdy, for example. Now they're back-to-back in the rankings, but I don't think this is necessarily fair to Dak Prescott. I just put out a video about value picks and where they're going. And Dak Prescott, I think, is going in like the mid to late 4th round of Dynasty startup drafts. And he's going, if I remember correctly, he's going as the QB. Sorry, it's late 3rd round. He's going as QB 15. And if you go back and look, and I know, when you think of Dak, you just think of, all right, a nice player, but not a difference-making player. Go back and look at Dak's numbers, essentially since he came into the league, but specifically since 2020. Now, I know he got hurt, I believe, in 2020, but 2020, he was on pace for a monster season, and then he got hurt, but he was averaging over 27 and a half points per game. 2021, Dak was QB 7, and he finishes QB 7. 2022, he finished. He missed the first 5-6 games of the year, but he finished as a top 5 quarterback again in points per game. And then last year, Dak was QB 3 overall. Right? He was QB 3 overall, QB 5 in points per game. So we're literally talking about a player who's been like top 5 or 7 since 2020 in points per game or total points. Like, Dak is a lot better than we think. So he should be, I don't think we should use age against him when comparing him against guys like Brock Purdy or even Trevor Lawrence, who we haven't seen put up that elite season yet. Jared Goff is another one. He's going to be, playing. He'll turn 30 during the season, but him being behind guys again like Brock Purdy or Tua Tagovailoa, and I think the only argument really for him to be behind those guys is his age. Because if you look at Jared Goff, who just got a contract, by the way, you look at Jared Goff since coming to the Lions, and he's been a top 10 quarterback the last 2 years. Right? I know the first year with the Lions wasn't so good. The team sucked. But in 2022, Jared Goff was the QB 10, averaged 17.1 points per game. Last year was the QB 7, averaged 17.8 points per game. So not like amazing difference-making league-winning numbers, but still putting up good numbers. And I'm not sure if we should rank him behind Tua, who last year averaged less points per game than Jared Goff, so that's just kind of, even if you go down the list a little bit more, guys like Baker Mayfield, who's going to be 29 this year as QB 23 and stuff like that. Like, should Will Levis really be ranked over Baker Mayfield, or is that strictly because of age? Because honestly, if Will Levis turns into Baker Mayfield, like, that's kind of like, wow, that's really, really good. I would love it if Will Levis turns into Baker Mayfield. There's a really good chance that he doesn't, So I just think there's times where we overrate age a little bit in Dynasty. And I think you guys can take advantage of this in your Dynasty startups, getting guys like Goff or Dak maybe a little bit later than you should, or even in trades, because people really see those numbers. They see that 3 starting with Dak's age, or and Goff will be there soon as well. And I just think, we probably should still value those guys as guys that are going to be finishing probably in the top 12 for another 3 or 4 years. And again, you can't tell me what the hell the NFL is going to be like in 2026. No one can. So that's all I have for you guys. A little bit short of a video today, but age and Dynasty football, especially for you new players, because I made the same mistake when I started playing Dynasty football. Young, youth, age, overvaluing age rather than just the raw numbers sometimes. So as always, give us a like and subscribe. We'll be back with more of these videos to kind of help you in Dynasty football. Till then, we'll see you in the next video.